Shabbat Shalom. This week we read a powerful double portion, Achrei Mot and Kedoshim. Achrei Mot means after the death, and it opens after the devastating loss of Aaron's sons, who offered a strange fire to God and were consumed by it. In my musings 2 weeks ago, and the link is below, I reflected on that story and the strange fires raging in Gaza. Fires not divinely extinguished, but rather fueled by human hands. Fires in which people are being burned to death. Now, just 2 weeks later, fires rage in and around Jerusalem. Yet the West Bank is not on fire. We might ask why. The Torah teaches us that when we build systems rooted in injustice, economic, social, political, our ecological and environmental systems also become imbalanced, and eventually the earth throws us off. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a warning, a prophecy, and perhaps a reckoning. So what comes after death? Achrei Mot lays out a ritual of purification. Aaron must immerse himself, change his garments, and make offerings for both himself and the community. Then, in a dramatic gesture, he places the sins of the people upon a goat and sends it into the wilderness, alone, bearing the burdens of others. Yes, that's where the term scapegoat comes from. We know a lot about scapegoating, don't we? This year, Palestinians have been scapegoated, blamed for the very violence Israel's committing against them. Students are being abducted from their homes and off the streets of our cities, scapegoated under the guise of keeping Jews safe. And Jews who speak out, who stand in solidarity with Palestinians, are also being scapegoated and gaslit by our own institutions and communities. That pain, the loneliness of bearing the sins and projections of others, can feel like being sent into the wilderness ourselves. It can make us question our truth or make you question your truth. But we must resist. We must refuse to be exiled from our own moral clarity. We must speak again and again and again. Then we arrive at Kedoshim, which literally means holy ones, and I find this profound. After death, after scapegoating, after cleansing, the Torah calls us into holiness. The Torah says, "You shall be holy, for I, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, your God, am holy." You in this context is in the plural. You as a society and as individuals shall be holy. This parsha tells us that we have an opportunity to be holy like the divine. Not that we are necessarily holy, but that we can be holy. But what is it? What is holiness? How can we be holy? The Torah then gives us a blueprint. Don't make idols. Leave the corners of your fields for the poor and the stranger. Love your neighbor as yourself. And this one comes with an emphasis. When the stranger resides in your land, love them. Not tolerate, not protect. Love them. Because you were strangers once too. That commandment, not to oppress the stranger, but to love them, is repeated 36 times in our Torah. The most repeated commandment in all of Torah. Why? Because maybe the scribes knew how easily we can reenact our own trauma on others. So the Torah reminds us, do not become what or who you have survived. And yet today, we are watching a state that calls itself the Jewish state commit unspeakable violence. We are watching people idolize land and nationalism at the expense of human life. That is not holy. That is a desecration. Genocide is not holy. Ethnic cleansing is not holy. Weaponizing our tradition to justify slaughter is not holy. So where does that leave us? Judaism, too, has been desecrated, our Torah twisted and misused. The conflation of Judaism and Zionism is threatening the sanctity of Judaism itself. The Torah teaches us to distinguish between the holy and the profane. And right now we must draw that line. Because Judaism is not inherently holy. It only becomes holy when we act with holiness. So how do we rededicate? How do we, like the Maccabees, re-sanctify that which has been defiled? I believe we already are. Every Seder in the streets, every protest, every courageous conversation with family members and friends, every act of Jewish ritual that says, not in our name, that is our rededication. And Shabbat, it's the time when our second soul descends, a breath of possibility, a flicker of the holy. May we welcome that second soul. May it remind us of who we truly are and who we are still called to be. Shabbat Shalom. To join us next week for Shabbat services and Torah study, you can register on the link below, and you can learn more about Beit Tikkun at our website at Beit Tikkun, BEYTTIKKUN.org. Thank you.